Hello Brigadiers, welcome to the 200 subscriber Q&A. I asked my Twitter followers and YouTube subscribers to ask me any questions if they had them. And a few of you delivered, and I shall be answering your questions in this video to the best of my ability. And with that said, let us begin. The first question comes from Endzoneblog.com. Do you drive a semi in real life? And also, do you have any aspirations to, if you don't already? I do not drive a semi, nor do I drive a car, or a truck, or a van, etc., blah blah blah, because I am disabled, and also I never took my driver's test, and if I did, I would have to get a modified vehicle, which would be hella expensive, and I do not have a job to pay for it. And, well, chances are I wouldn't even bother to use it much because I don't go out a whole lot unless it's important. So, and also because I don't really like being away from home very long, as was the case not the last time I was in the hospital, but the time before that. 10 years ago, I went to the hospital for a month or so, and then spent another 2 weeks in rehab because of a wound that required surgery to close, and that wound is the reason why I can't travel long distances. So, even if I wanted to be a trucker, I could not do it for health reasons. Next question comes from Vamp Cove. What kind of gaming platforms do you play? I play PC, Xbox 360, although very rarely, 3DS, which is also very rare because I only play it for Pokemon, and since they don't put the Pokemon games out on that anymore, that will be collecting dust unless I decide to finish Ultra Sun, which probably won't happen anytime soon because that game is just a carbon copy of the original Sun, except for a few different mechanics. And next question comes from RedVexXGaming. What made you want to do YouTube? Simple. I had the pipe dream of wanting to be successful immediately, which obviously never happened. It took me 7 years to get 200 subscribers, which is no fault of anyone else's but myself, because I did not advertise very well at all. I was afraid if I advertised, people wouldn't like me for that, because every time I see others advertising, they always do it in popular YouTubers' comment sections, and they get shit on for it. And I didn't have a Twitter account at the time, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna do this and see how it goes. Maybe I'll get noticed, maybe I won't. Eventually I did. As I said, it took a little longer than I hoped, but here we are. Almost 300 subscribers, 7 years later. And also, I just wanted to, try to entertain people with my lackluster guitar playing, which I haven't actually put out a guitar playing video in about 2 years now, possibly a little more, a little less than that. The guitar I've used in my first video and all the guitar playing videos thereafter is no longer in service because I got a new one. The silver guitar is no longer used. I have a blue one now. I forget what it's called. It's a Jackson Dinky is what it is. I just thought of it that second. I bought it for my birthday last year, I think. Or no, I think it was a little bit earlier in the year, this year. But that guitar is a lot better than the one I had because Well, believe it or not, the last one I had was in a flea market, and it ended up falling apart. Like the pickups started to come loose. I broke a string multiple times. I broke the very bottom string multiple times, so I ended up not replacing it. I now have a 5-string electric guitar sitting in my room. And I also wanted to play games on YouTube. Like, what gamer doesn't want to do that, ultimately? Next question comes from Emma, aka Azuru Plays. Actually, 3 questions. First one is, if you could pick an anthem for your life, what would it be and why? My anthem for life is a song called Lazy Generation. I'll leave a link to it in the description, because if I play it here, I might get copyrighted or some shit, and I don't want the audio to get muted because of it. When did you first start gaming is the next one. I was roughly, I want to say 5, maybe 6 years old. My first console was a Sega Genesis, or as it's known outside of America, the Sega Mega Drive. My favorite game series on that console was Road Rash, and believe it or not, I have played a few Road Rash levels on my channel several years ago. I never actually finished the whole game because I started to rage, so I dropped it, which is basically what I always do when I rage. Yeah. I have a bit of a temper sometimes. Let's just leave it at that. And the final question from Emma is, who is your favorite character, or what is your favorite character from any game, anime, television show, movie, etc., and why? Huh. That's a good question. I've seen a lot of good movies over the years, and a lot of good TV shows. I think one that I can relate to is Naota Nandaba from the first season of Fooly Cooly, because he was a loner. He had barely any friends, and the ones that he did have, he barely hung out with, which is basically me. He didn't seem to fit in anywhere. Again, me. And the one thing we didn't connect with is the fact that I never got involved with an alien race, and never had robots coming out of my ears due to getting smacked in the head with a Rickenbacker. Yeah. Weird anime, I have to say. Next question comes from the video game Maniac. Who is your favorite YouTuber? That is a very good question. I have to say, Jacksepticeye, Big Jiggly Panda, Mini Lad, any YouTubers that make emergency alert system mocks, I really like those. Even though if they're played in the wrong place at the wrong time, they could cause a disaster to happen, because, well, you know, you can figure out why that is. Let's see, who else? I like Into the Barrier. He's a Formula 1 YouTuber. Markiplier, because, well, he's hilarious. Sammy Cake, who actually I'm friends with on Twitter. Sweet Anita, who I guess would be considered a Twitch streamer more than a YouTuber, even though she does upload. And also, an Icelandic YouTube duo by the name of Birgir Palch. Actually, that's the name of one of the two guys on that channel. The other being Bonsai. They did gaming for a while. They haven't been active in a few months because of work and whatnot. And also because his second in command, known as Bonsai, is a video game developer now for, I believe, Rockstar. I'll have to check on that. I have a bunch more that I can't really think of right now for some reason. And also, believe it or not, I have friendships with Japanese YouTubers on Twitter. Even though I do not understand a word of complex Japanese, we do communicate with Google Translate and with English if they know what I'm saying. So that's a short list, really. Let's see. And the most complex question of all comes from Elite Gaming Guru, and they want to know, why is Xbox not selling well in Japan? Well, according to Phil Spencer of Xbox, or Microsoft's gaming department, he says, in an article I read, he said Japanese people prefer to play games made in Japan, you know, like PlayStation, Nintendo, etc. They don't play shooters. However, they play RPGs, visual novels, and as I said, Nintendo games like Mario, Zelda, Metroid, yada yada yada. However, there have been a few high-selling Xbox games, specifically Neo, Lost Odyssey, and Blue Dragon. And that's about as short a summary as I can provide from the findings I went through. I'll put the article in the description down below. And finally, we have it's Jazz, yo. She wants to know my YouTube routine. And my routine is, I plug my mic into my headphones because it's detachable. I turn on Fraps. I look to see what game I haven't played in a while, or, you know, if I want to continue a series, I'll just fire up a random game and do that. Like, for example, I cut my truck simulator trips into multiple parts, because if I didn't, then you would have to sit through a 2.5-hour trip in some cases. And I know that some of you probably wouldn't like that. So, yeah. And then I edit with Windows Movie Maker, of all things. That's why my editing is never complex, if you will. Like, I use simple fonts. I use cutting, a lot of cutting in some cases. And that's really it for my routine. And that's all the questions. So thank those of you who submitted questions for the Q&A, and thank all of you, all of my subscribers, all of my Twitter followers, for being a part of the Wheeler Brigade, whether it's been for a few days or a few years or since the beginning of the channel. I thank all of you for being a part, and I will continue for as long as my computer lets me, or as long as I don't get burned out to the point where I decide to quit, which I hope never happens. I do enjoy what I do on here. Even though some days it might not seem that way. Because I don't... There are times I used to not upload for weeks on end. And it would get to a month between uploads, and I would just be like, what the hell am I doing? I know that's not sustainable. So I tried to upload daily, starting this year. That lasted for a whole 2.5 months. Because I kept missing days. I kept uploading after midnight instead of the day of that I should have. So, yeah, it's been a hell of a journey for the past 7 years, and mark my words, it will continue. The brigade will not fall. So, once again, thank you everyone for watching, and those of you who participated in this Q&A. Like I said, I will leave the questionnaires in the description down below. And until next time, stay cool, because it's summer. Keep on rocking. And we are the Wheeler Brigade. Hoorah!